Okay, well, I'm glad to see y'all. You know, every week I say, what do I always say? Okay, our celebrity tonight. This time we actually have a real celebrity in the room with us, Jennifer, and I call you a celebrity too. So we've got
That
two-
doesn't make us uncomfortable at all.
If I end up like in front of the camera, then there was an issue.
Oh, right.
But I am
behind the camera,
No.
in front of the camera. Okay, all right. Well, welcome, and I'm going to do your official bio here. And Jane, thanks for being here recording for us. We will start with Dr. Stephanie O'Brien right here. Stephanie is from the Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina. After graduating high school in Raleigh, she attended UNC Greensboro, where she graduated with a BA in broadcast cinema. Stephanie left for Wilmington after undergrad, where she worked in local TV news for a couple of years before moving into narrative film and television production. She has worked on over 35 movies, television series, commercials, and documentaries, and is a member of the Directors Guild of America. During the time Stephanie was working in production, she took a break and returned to school for a master's degree at UNC Chapel Hill in film and television theory and criticism. She continued to work in LA while attending classes during the fall and spring semesters. Stephanie, this is my favorite part of the bio.
It's the best part of the bio.
Stephanie's first teaching opportunity was in the communication department at AB Tech, where yours truly hired her for her first teaching job.
Ever.
I'll take the credit.
As an adjunct. Ellen
Thank
hired
you,
me as
Ellen.
an adjunct, and here I am.
Best decision I ever made.
You're the
Best
re-
decision I made.
The reason we stay in Nashville,
That's
eh?
right. I will take all the credit. While teaching, Stephanie returned to school yet again, this time for a doctorate. She graduated in May 2020 from UNC Greensboro with a PhD in cultural studies and a post-baccalaureate in women, gender, and sexuality studies. That's us. She's currently a lecturer in the mass communication department at UNCA, where she teaches classes in media studies and video production. Take Dr. O'Brien's classes, you won't regret it.
That's one of my students that came in.
Oh, yes, I was gonna say, okay.
Timothy came in to join us.
It's so good
glad-
to see you. It's good to
Yes, sir.
have you.
Thank
You're most welcome.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you.
I thought, I don't know
Yes,
this
sorry.
student. You're welcome. And next we have Jennifer Gotti. Born and raised in New York City, Jennifer has been a professional actor for most of her life. She began her career at the age of 14 as a series regular on the soap opera Search for Tomorrow. Her daytime television career continued on the series Guiding Light and The Young and the Restless. After several years working in television and in the New York theater scene, Jennifer moved to Los Angeles, where she continued to work steadily. Some of her notable credits include Star Trek TNG, Star Trek Voyager, ER, Cheers, Full House, and CSI Miami. Since moving to Asheville in 2005, Jennifer has continued working throughout the Southeast region with recurring roles in Vice Principals, Drop Dead Diva, Swamp Thing, and guest roles in The Resident, Nashville, and many others. She has also appeared in several theater productions here in Asheville, most recently The Roommate and Lifespan of a Fact at NC Stage Company. Jennifer has been teaching and coaching actors in Asheville for the past 10 years. She specializes in acting technique, scene study, on-camera technique, and auditioning. And I'll add a little note. Jennifer is also a graduate of UNCA in
That's right.
psychology, right?
That's right, I forgot.
And AB Tech. I
That's right.
started AB Tech.
And then came here.
I went back to school when I was 40 and graduated from UNCA in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Psych major, yeah. I forgot. I always forget that.
I know.
And the other thing we forget sometimes is they're married.
Yes,
Yes.
we are married.
Yes, we are married.
No one knew that.
We
We
together.
were married. We met. Well, we can tell you about it if
Yeah.
you want or whatever.
Yes,
So,
please do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start. So being the professor that I am, I have way too much prepared and all of this, and we're happy to just talk with whatever y'all want. But you know me, I had to do all this stuff, and do you want to talk about this and this and this? We don't have to do any of that. We can talk. But I thought the one thing to introduce us a little bit and I sort of took this title a little bit from some work I'd done on an early filmmaker, very prolific female director in the early part of film named Dorothy Arzner. If you don't know about her, it's because they don't write about her in most film history textbooks. But she was a very prominent lesbian director in the early film. She's the only director that successfully went from silent film to sound film. But anyway, there's a chapter of a book about her called Looking for Dorothy. And I used it in my dissertation somewhat that I wrote about introductory film studies curriculum. And so I've sort of adapted it and taken it on to like looking for me in representation, or looking for us, like looking in terms of that. So that's just a little bit of where that came from. Thought I'd tell you. So a little bit of information on our careers, and I'll let Jennifer talk about hers. And I'm going to show you what's called Jennifer's Reel that she has. You know, maybe talk a little bit, we'll talk a little about, you know, how we met, where we met. We were very quiet when we first met in our relationship. We've been together 24 years, 24 years. We can talk a little bit about that and what it meant to think about that. I will say that my position behind the camera, so this is me over here. I found this picture not long ago, actually. So this is me, like I'm getting ready to cue somebody, an actor or something. It's what it looks like. In my position, it was much easier to be gay in that position than it was for Jennifer. So some of the more interesting aspects might be about sort of what Jennifer had to go through in terms of that. But Jennifer's a member of SAG-AFTRA. Let's hear it for them finally getting the deal. And all of our friends can go back to work now, which we're very happy about. We've been very stressed for them and felt really awful for them. And then I'm a member of the Directors Guild of America. Whoops, sorry. I have to come out of it. So I don't know if you've heard of IMDb, most people, Internet Movie Database. So I don't have a fancy reel, but this is my IMDb page. If you're interested and want to look at it at any time. Jennifer's is much more interesting because she has a reel. So does everybody know what a reel is for actors or directors? Anybody? An R-E-E-L? It's how they get jobs, like you cut together, right? Whether you're a cinematographer or a director or a writer or anything, you cut together a reel, right? And it helps you. So this is Jennifer's reel. Jen, do you want to sort of introduce it at all? And I'll start it over again in a minute.
Sure. So, I mean, over the years, I have, you know, years and years of material, but the purpose of a reel for an actor or even a director or a cinematographer is you're trying to show, kind of update your reel, your most recent work. A lot of the business is about what have you done lately. And so just before the pandemic hit, is in 2019, I had amassed a certain amount of work, and Dusty, who is Dusty?
Dusty used to be our media lab manager in the mass comm department.
So Dusty, who has since gone off to get his, is he getting a doctorate?
He's getting an MFA.
He's getting an MFA in UNC Wilmington. I actually hired him to, I kind of showed him what I wanted done and cut it and paste it and put it together and sort of create, you have to kind of create a reel that is not too long, that's sort of interesting enough. And if a casting director or director is interested for a job, and maybe they've auditioned you in the room, but they want to see how you look on camera, or you know what your presence is, that's kind of what you have the reel for. And especially in this world, everything is digital now. People don't see each other face to face in rooms anymore. Everything is done on video, everything is done digitally. So you kind of have to have a really good digital profile of who you are. So this was the latest one I had cut together. This was back in 2019. And I haven't done one since COVID, because between COVID and the strike, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity. So anyway. This is,
Hopefully
and this
we
is
can
all
see
stuff
it.
I've
I know we
done
need to leave this.
This is all Southeast stuff. This is everything I've done in the Southeast.
Regina Dietz, look at you with this colorful ensemble. So creative. What an art teacher you are. What are you working on next?
In terms of my syllabus?
No, sweetheart, I'm talking you. Are you working on any paintings or illustrations?
You came by just to ask that.
Well, I'm just curious what you like to work on yourself, when you're alone and you're feeling inspired. Like when you want to make a statement.
Ugh, I did not draw that comic strip if that's what you're asking.
Comic strip, I don't even know what you're talking about.
King Ding-a-ling. You know, the one everyone's passing around, showcasing your...
Who is passing it around?
I don't know who's doing it.
Well, do you know any other teachers who like to draw?
I'm a potter, Lee. I make pottery. Remember my show at the gallery? You were there.
Yes, that's right, clay pots. I remember that. Well, it was good to chat with you, Regina. I look forward to our next conversation where we get to review the art budget. Looking forward to that.
I would love to see any chapters Anna has delivered to you thus far.
That'd be a huge breach of confidence.
Like you? Publishing an unauthorized biography about me? Honey, you don't want to get me even more upset about this.
All right. I'll slip you the pages. But I need you to put a client on your show.
Fine, who is it?
Kelly Osbourne.
Nice try, Jane.
My client has a book she needs to promote.
Your client said my Emmy dress was so tight you could see the stick up my ass.
She's so funny.
That was vintage Valentino?
Maxine, you're not getting thin-skinned, are you?
What's the book? And thanks for calling me thin.
It's a book on hair and poetry, and I need her on this Thursday.
No can do. I have a big guest for Thursday. How about next Wednesday?
It has to be Thursday. That's the official book launch.
We have Rihanna for Thursday.
Do you want the pages?
That's already been established.
Then it's Thursday, and top of show. I'm sure Rihanna can wait.
I'll remember this, Jane.
So Matt, he's been in an accident?
He's gonna be all right. He's got out of radiology.
What the hell happened?
It looks like he went off the road sometime last night, but his car wasn't spotted until this morning. I'd like to keep him overnight as a precaution.
When can I see him?
As soon as he's brought down. Lucilia, you should know. It was a one-car accident, and the paramedics found open bottles in his car.
He was drunk?
Well, lucky for Matt, there's no legal proof of that. But it sure looks that way.
I really need to get in contact with Maddie. So you got on my schedule to get her phone number? I'm very concerned about her working with Vince Pierce. I worked with him back in the day, and it was a bad experience. I mean, you've heard all the rumors, and he was inappropriate with me, and I don't want to take the risk that might happen with Maddie. Look, with all due respect, Vince is now one of the most sought-after producers in the world. He's a legend. Does he have an eye for the ladies? Sure. But in my experience, he's been a total gentleman. Well, not in mine. Look, there's not a woman in this industry that hasn't been hit on in one way or another. And you're okay with that? It comes with the territory. And as women, we deal with it. Well, Maddie's not a woman. She's a teenage girl. And Caitlin, she's my daughter. But she's my artist.
They're not racist. That's not why you're not welcome.
We want you to leave because you're doctors. Boone spread the word. You're from Chastain.
Because no one here could afford their inflated bills.
I was a nurse anesthetist. Best damn job I ever had.
Leaving us to care for our elderly and mentally ill on our own.
We had nothing to do with that. So if there's any way we can help...
Like looking at that arm.
Look, eat here if you want, but please, just leave me alone.
Such a look, Jennifer Gotti, such a look. Such a look you have. Anyway, I don't know. Do you want to talk about any of that? The thing that you don't see here is Jennifer has done a couple of, she did one feature film and one short where you did play a woman in relationship with other women, right?
Yeah. I guess I was thinking about like this, what would this reel be in relation to what we're discussing today? And I guess for me, it's changed a lot. I think it's changed a lot in the last 20 years, but I was in my 20s in the 1990s. And I sort of started questioning my sexuality in my 20s, but I was I'm like the girl, I mean, this is me kind of older, but I was the girl who kissed the boys. I was always the leading lady, or the, you know, I always call it the girl who kisses the boys. And the business is very much, they put you in a box, you know, and if you are something different than what they perceive you to be, it can affect your career. So you know, I spent a lot of time while I was trying to figure who I was and going through this sort of point which is an important time in a young person's life, of who I am and, you know, who I am. I couldn't really explore it, or I had to explore it very carefully because I had to hide who I was, because this was my career. And it's different now. I think it's better, but it's still not. You just can't really. I mean, it's like everyone just makes the assumption that you're heterosexual, that you're straight, that you're not, you know, queer, that they just think they look at you and they make an assumption. I mean, that's what people do. They look at you and they just make a judgment of who you are. And I had to live in that sort of world where people just made this assumption of who I was, and I couldn't really be who I felt I was, because that's how I made my living, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump in there, because one of the things that I write about a little bit in my dissertation is that unless a character, right, specifically is said to be some way, right, some characteristic of them, the assumption is whiteness and straightness.
Right.
Right? That's always the assumption, unless a film or an author or something tells you differently. And if you think about it, our colonized minds, right, in terms of that, when we read novels or stories or whatever, we're making that assumption too, unless someone tells us different, right? And yes, I think Jennifer's right. It's a big part of when you look at someone on screen, there's that assumption there, unless they are, you know, kissing, you know, for her another woman or something like that, right? And a couple of these things that she did, which I can't watch.
And there was really no
She had in a play, she had, it doesn't matter who. I'm confessing right here.
Wow.
That if she, you know this.
I do, I totally do.
Like, she had a play for 8 nights a week, not 8 nights a week. There aren't 8 nights a week, 8 plays a week, whatever, 5 nights, whatever it is. Like, she's kissing
so
somebody.
upset about it.
I'm fine with it, it's fine. All right, anyway, go ahead.
Yes, so that being said, you just can't, I mean, that's just being a young person. It's very difficult in this industry, in the film and television industry anyway, because it's so much about your looks, and it's so much about appearance, and it's so much about image and all of that stuff, that it's hard to, you know, if you're someone, and most young people do go through at some point in their life, you think, oh, because, you know, I was identified as straight and I was married to a man for 5.5 years before I started to kind of question myself. And so, so I had the excuse of, you know, so my insecurity is if anybody ever questioned me, or if I was paranoid, I easily had an ex-husband I could mention, and that would, you know, in my mind, that'll just put everybody's doubt, you know, they would like, oh, whatever. But I didn't have any representation either. I had no idea. I was sort of, you know, lost trying to figure out who I was in an industry where, you know, everything is about image and perception of who you are. So it was a challenge. And what happens is, as a woman in this industry, as you get older, people, you know, you're old. Once you're like over 35, you're old, and then people care less and less because you're no longer the girl that kisses the boys. You become the psychologist. You become the doctor. You become the art teacher. So you know, it was more comfortable for me to start being myself, and still, you know, it's only been in the last few years that I can comfortably talk about Stephanie, because I just was so not used to talking about my personal life, but nobody cares anymore, so It's a
Yeah.
bit of a relief. for
Again,
me.
and when we met 24 years ago, I mean, we've come a long way even in 24 years. I mean, we're very much talking about just sort of the G and the L, right? The gay and the
Right,
lesbian. I mean,
right.
that was just getting to that point, right? In representation was a huge step at the time. And I mean, we're coming from the time period where it took Ellen DeGeneres coming out
Right.
in her TV show and then on Time Magazine and then all the backlash against her because of it, right? That's the time in which we're meeting and figuring all this out and everything, right? And me at the same time. And again, though, for me, behind the scenes, it was much easier. And in fact, a lot of so I started out as an assistant director, and it's really interesting, and I don't know why, and this is just very much, making a grand sort of statement, but a lot of female ADs that I knew happened to be lesbians. I don't know why, it was just something that sort of like, I don't know what it is, and so I ended up with this really great behind the scenes, and it is true, as much as Hollywood, and we got very lucky and did a lot of studio stuff. Like we were very much involved in some pretty big stuff. Even though there are some small independent things that we did as well, but it was a very welcoming community for the crew, right? Not so much for in front of the camera and not so much in the writer's room.
Right.
And my statement always is, and the question always is, and what I would want all of you, and you probably do this anyway or think about it, to be critically media literate is who's in the room making the decisions, right? So who's in the writer's room? Who's in the writer's room? Who are the showrunners on television, those big creative people making the decisions? But then on top of that, who's running the studios? Who's running the networks? That's where the decisions are made. And those are the critical questions that you have to investigate and ask, right? And it's not until we get, in television, showrunners like Ryan Murphy, as much as I have some issues there, that Ryan Murphy is doing what he's doing and he's bringing people, at least eventually when he got to Pose, bringing people into the writer's room, right? That are writing more from just his perspective, but writing more from the queer, the trans perspective and things like that, right, as well. But that's a big question, and that's something you should always think about, right? Or what book you're reading. Who is this person, and who are they writing about, right, as well. So, but yeah, so for me, behind the scenes, the crew is a much easier place to be open and a much more welcoming place than in front of the camera, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's changed a lot only with this generation, and I actually really embrace the word queer, because for me, I feel like that, so even as a young person, I didn't feel comfortable in either box that anyone was putting me in. It's like, well, I'm not straight, but I don't know if like people are calling me a lesbian, and it's like everybody was trying to tell me who I was, and I'm like, and I don't even know who I am. And so I always talk about this idea of what's happening now with fluidity and queerness. I just think it's wonderful, because if I were your age now, I feel like I would be so much more comfortable at who I am and what I be, and who knows, I'd be the same person, but I wonder, like, if I'd be more evolved, or how I would be more evolved in my human beingness, or maybe it wouldn't have taken me so long.
But then again, you think about that too, and the difference is, I think we can live a lot of what ifs, but we may not have met then.
Right, that's true. That's true.
Which has been a big help. And so just thinking about that a little bit, when we did meet, we were on a movie together, and because she was not out, it was something that we had to keep really quiet for a really long time. Again, from my side, so for instance, though, by the time she gets to Danny show, Vice Principals.
Vice Principals.
That actor that she's with in that scene, I had worked with. I'd worked with him on a movie, Walt Goggins, and I worked with him on my TV show that I was on before I left. And like he had met Jennifer years ago, you know, and he knew because she would come to things on the set or rap parties or whatever, and so he knew Walt she knew Walt from a long time ago, and you know, it was always great to have somebody come up to you and go, "Oh man, I'm working with your girl." You know what I mean? Like I mean, that sounds like a little bit of like an owning something, but you know what I mean? Like, but there is something about it that was really nice to have people, you know, to have people kind of say those kinds of things and know that you're sort of there together.
Yeah, it's hard. You spend a lot of time sitting on a set. You spend a lot of time, you know, it's kind of the hurry up and wait. You get your makeup on, you get your costume on, but now you got to sit back while they set the camera, set the lighting. So you're all sitting, you know, you're sitting off to the side making small talk. And, you know, people would be talking about their husbands or their wives, or girlfriends, boyfriends, kids, and everything I did was vague, or I just didn't talk about it. And, you know, you're not really truly yourself if you can't really talk about your life. So, and I sometimes wonder, too, how that affected my work as an actor. You know, I sort of think back now how I had to hold back in some ways. You know, because also, too, you know, you get somebody who thinks you're single, and then they start hitting on you, you know, and you got to deal with that. And so, do you make up a boyfriend? Do you make up somebody? Do you tell, you know? And then I remember the one time I did, because now I'm Vice Principals. Now I was getting older, and you know, and he wasn't hitting on me, but he was just nosy, and it was just one of the act. Yeah, we'll tell you later.
No, I know who you're talking about, and I can't.
So anyway, so just somebody, just one of the guests. It was just a guest person, and you know, it was just. You don't want to talk about who you are, because then you become extremely fascinating to people, and then they just ask you really invasive questions, you know, like you're some sort of scientific experiment that they can just ask questions about. It's just really offensive. It's like, you know, do you realize you're asking, you know, so that was another reason I didn't want to talk about it, because then I didn't want to have to explain my entire life story or have someone ask me really invasive questions that they just think they have the right to ask me. So yeah. So it's a strange place to be when you're not whatever is considered the conventional norm, whatever that means. So anyway, so thank God for all of you. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank God for UNCA. I mean, thank goodness for UNCA, because I mean, when I was at AB Tech, I didn't talk about this stuff. Now I would now. I'd go back there now and I'd be like, whatever. But when I was first starting, I didn't. It wasn't until I got to UNCA that I felt very comfortable talking to my classes and being someone who would say my wife or my spouse, or, you know, or whatever kind of thing. So I'm thankful, as much as, you know, we still have issues, you know, and we know, I'm sure you're talking about it, all the issues that we're dealing with, and, you know, at certain levels of education and all of that. I am grateful to have this place, I have to say, in terms of that. So, I don't know. Do y'all have questions? We've been kind of rambling for a little bit. I mean, I have all kinds of stuff I can show you, but I want to, do y'all have questions at the moment for us? Yeah.
I saw your reaction to the Nashville,
that scene.
And especially you talking about it again, that, you know, it's like the workplace environment, like that's just, you know, something that you should expect when, like, obviously you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, also not like you have to, but have you found like a way to kind of like shut down those interactions? Because like, is it something that you kind of just go with the flow with? Or, I mean, now that you know.
Right.
But when you were younger, did you notice a difference on, you know, handling people? Because I know that like they talked about, it's really predatory sometimes, for, like, especially younger actresses.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I look back now at, you know, you can be very reflective when you get to a certain age. You can be very reflective on what you were like when you were younger, and how I responded to things. And you know, it's amazing how incredibly accommodating I was. I mean, and this is sort of how I did it. I was raised to be a strong, independent, confident person who's survivor, who could take care of herself. And I think when you're raised that way, that also means that you can handle yourself in situations, but it's not that you say, stop speaking to me that way or stop doing that to me because you're, what you're doing is wrong. What you do is, as a woman, young woman at that time, you just say, well, I'm strong, I can handle it, I can deal with it, I have resilience, I can navigate around this and be accommodating without having, being what I would consider being violated or assaulted. And it's pretty amazing, I think, about things that I put up with and dealt with as a young person, that if that happened today, it's so inappropriate and so, it's just unbelievable. I mean, and just little things, and you're right. The way you're spoken to, which somebody might find amusing, and you're like, ha, 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 but you realize it's really quite offensive, or, the sexualizing or the objectifying of me. Oops, sorry. I'm going to tell this story. So I won't say the show because I'm not going to give it away, but I will keep all names under wraps. I worked on a show where I had to kiss a lot of, there were a couple of young men I had to kiss a lot. And and I was, and I was told, and so okay, I'm not going to get into a whole thing about how you movie kiss or stage kiss, but there is a way to do kissing where it looks real, it looks passionate, but you're not really like shoving your tongue inside each other's mouth. There's a way to do it, and it can look very passionate, very wonderful, but it's acting, basically. But I worked on this, I was on this show, and I was on this show for a while, and I was told, not by one man, but the other one, that they only know how to really kiss. They don't, and me in my 20s, how did I handle it being young, and I was like, I didn't like it, I didn't like the idea of it, but I was going to put up with it, because that's what you do. You just survive. And I had to, have not one, but two different men just constantly, shoving their tongue down my throat, which was completely unnecessary, because that's the only way they knew how to kiss. And I put up with it, and I put up with it for a good period of time. And they weren't bad men, and that's the justification. They were nice guys. They weren't bad guys. They were actually, really nice guys. So I put up with it. I just did it. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, and those are the things that that young people do to accommodate and to not, So that's just one example.
It happens behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
It happens at the crew too. It does. I mean, Jennifer can tell you I don't have a very good memory. Ellen can probably tell you that too. Ellen will be like, remember something? I'm like, no. But anyway, I remember being on a set one day, and we were in a bar, and I leaned over the bar to grab something, and my first AD, my boss came up and slapped me right on the behind. Said, look at that. Right? But I also had some women, to be honest, that that maybe were, that just played with emotions, right? You're young, you're trying to figure out who you are, and there were some women that, I don't always want to put it on the men. There were some women who also did some manipulative, particularly emotionally and manipulative kind of things as well, But yeah, when you're young, and that's why I'm so proud of your generation and stuff, of not calling it out, as well. Yeah, but that scene from Nashville, I'm always like, why do you have to go with the, but.
Yeah.
But, and what's interesting about that episode of Nashville, it was directed by, what's her name?
Callie Khouri.
Callie Khouri, who wrote Thelma and Louise. So, you know, here you've got this, right? But it's part of the, and you have to see the whole episode to see where it goes. But it's kind of interesting that this woman who does Thelma and Louise is like going through this sort of thing. But anyway, so, I don't know. Other questions?
That was a good one.
We just talked about the Me Too movement, and that like completely resonated with that. Like, it's just the culture, or like there's always those justifications for these things, but it's like boundaries are like being crossed way too often, and you hear about it all the time, and you're like, how does it keep happening?
Well, we become conditioned to it, that's just the way it is, and you just deal with it. And even I was even guilty of sometimes hearing someone becoming upset by something, and then, you know, my first reaction would be like, well, you know, come on. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, wait a minute, so I'm the one that's conditioned. I'm the one that's conditioned to tolerate and to accommodate and to, and I'm curious now what it's like to be a young actor in this industry. You know, I'm in a completely different place now, you know, and when I work on a set, I'm a completely different demographic now, playing different roles. People are going to just treat me differently. I can be out and do what I want because nobody cares. I don't know what it's like. How, you know, I'm wondering if it's a little better.
Well, I'm hoping it is. I hope. I mean, I think there's always going to be, you know, it's so ingrained in that industry. I did a couple of movies that Harvey Weinstein produced, and now when I look back at it, I think, I also think, you know, we also dealt with the culture of people throwing around just like slur words, you know, about being LGBTQ, you know, and we just sort of we had to sort of take that too, right? I think that's probably gotten better. I think, again, there's more representation behind the scenes that helps with that somewhat, but you know, I think, at least talking to my friends who are still doing it, it's gotten better. It has, you know, so, yeah. Other question?
I don't have a question, but I did want to go back on what you said about you had to deal with like some women like manipulating you. I also had like similar stuff because I came out like early on in school, and I lost a lot of female friends because I came out. They were like, oh, they're gonna have a crush on me, they're gonna like me, and then as I got older in school, they would flirt with me, but they were straight, and then they would flirt with me, and I'd be like, hello, what? Yeah, it's really odd, like watching it like go from, hey, we were little and you didn't like me, and now we're older and you're messing with the idea of my sexuality. It's really weird.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, and it was particularly hard in some instances where these were people who were considered sort of my boss or something like that, you know. And you're right. Like at first, you want me to go. You kind of want to go with them. You know, you're not all that. Just I'm not going to fall in love with you just because you're like. I mean, come on, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. You know, and then when you don't, like everybody wants. I mean, it's the same messed up relationship stuff that can happen in any relationship. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make it any different, but. But yeah, I mean, especially, I mean, just emotionally manipulative, women got some of that going on. I mean, just to be honest, and sometimes it really, really can be. And that's a lot of what I dealt with in terms of that.
And then you're dealing with the power dynamic if it's a work situation. So you know, you add the power dynamic on top of that. And so,
yeah, as well. Can I ask y'all a question? Can I put one of my slides on there?
She worked really hard on that.
Well, so. I mean, I always just it's just what I do. I mean, you can ask Kate.
It's really good.
You can ask Kate, who's in class with me, that I do way too much. The GLAAD where we are on TV, this is really interesting. I won't stick on it too much. I know Ellen's got it in the Moodle page. But they do really good work on, and if any of you are interested in this kind of content work, they basically sit and watch TV all year long, and they make a count of who the characters are and where they fall along the LGBTQ spectrum. And then along race and ethnicity, they just break it down and break it down. It's a really cool report. You can get lost in it. And I just finished a learning circle on AAPI representation in media here on campus, and they have a really cool report about that too. And that's like really underrepresented, right? As is underrepresentation of indigenous LGBTQ, you know? So it gets into that. It's a really cool report to kind of look at as well. And I just thought I'd show you, these are what won their film. They do GLAAD Media Awards every year, and these are the films that won. I've only seen Bros. Has anybody seen Bros? Yeah, anybody seen any of the others? Yeah, see, that's the thing. They don't get that much representation. But this is what I wanted to ask. So, I mean, these are sort of some shows and stuff we look at, but I'm curious from y'all, right? What do you see now? What is good representation, and what is an example from you? What does it mean to have good representation? And what would you say is an example? Yeah.
I would love to see like a non-binary Jewish character
Okay.
on TV. There's none of that
Right.
ever.
Right. Right.
Ever.
So you know what you can do? You can write it.
My dad's friend works in Hollywood, so why don't I should just ask him to do it.
You should run. I mean, yeah. And there's more representation, particularly of what does that show your mom's watching? I can't remember.
Which one?
I don't know. She was watching something that was about a young
Oh
Jewish
yes,
girl.
it was on Netflix. It was it had a there was a I think there was a
Jewish
lesbian
lesbian, I
to
think.
it. It was,
I think.
but I think it was a period piece.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it called? I don't remember.
I can't remember. We'll figure it out.
I'll think about
Any
it.
We'll let you know.
non-binary media at all, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really think of a single non-binary character who actually has like a name.
Well, wasn't Succession or something. There was one that was on network television actually, which is more so than, I mean, it's harder to get on network television than it is streaming, right? I mean, you can go back and look at the report, but the report will show you that there's more representation on streaming than network, right? And network has to answer to who? Advertisers.
Right.
Right? So that's a big part of it. Yeah.
I think Sex Education has really good representation. I didn't really like the last season that just came out just because they added like double the amount of characters for the last season and gave no time to give them any depth.
Right.
But like they had a deaf character, a hard of hearing character on there, which I don't think I'd like ever seen before. And just like have it be
And queer on top of it.
yeah. And have it be casual and have it just be like it's not centered around who they are in the plot. It's just like that's who they are and they get to have their own plot that's like outside of this one part of themselves.
Right.
And then I think one representation that obviously that like I would like to see more is ace representation. I like as an ace person I don't see that like ever. I think Sex Education has an asexual character.
As a what?
An asexual. A.
Okay,
I thought you said
sorry.
H at first too.
Okay,
A,
okay,
an
okay.
asexual.
Yeah.
They did O. Doesn't O come out as or
O
isn't
comes
there the
out,
whole?
yes.
Sorry, I'm curious. Who's seen Sex Education?
I'm in the middle of watching it.
Okay, we've got one more episode of the final season, and I can't watch it yet because I'm going to cry my eyes out. I have a feeling. But yeah, but I think O is.
Oh, and then there was maybe like a mention of somebody like from the clinic in like an earlier season that like was struggling with that. But yeah, other than Sex Education, I don't think I know like any other, or Todd from BoJack Horseman.
Yes, BoJack Horseman. Yeah. Okay, wait. I see so many hands going up. Tim, you want to go really quick, and then I'll come over here to y'all.
Yeah, or you can go first if you want.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so, well, in the case of Chucky, I wouldn't say it's good representation because, yes, there are gay characters in it, but the gay characters in it only really serve the purpose of, we gotta stop Chucky. That's their only real function. And when we are seeing, I forget their names, Jake and Devin, I think? Yeah. The only, like their dialogue is like barely tolerable, and it's very flat, and it's very just not fluid. Like I don't think Chucky's a good example of.
So you and I, no, it's fine, it's great, I appreciate that. You and I will have a conversation later on because Chucky's father is one of Jennifer's best friends, Don Mancini.
Oh. But I don't but no. No, it's actually, it's awesome to hear it because
we can't watch it, I can't watch it.
I watch it for him because I love him, but I don't disagree with you.
And so, Tim, you know what I want you to do? I want you to go read about Don, because Don is a gay man Chucky is a lot about, this Chucky in particular is a lot about, I think, Don working out some stuff. So go read up on Don. He's really interesting. He also has Chucky and the bride in the living room. Freaks me out. Can't do it. Anyway,
Yeah. But no, I don't disagree with you. It's interesting what you said, because I've seen several of the episodes, and sometimes I'm wondering if it's campy on purpose. So.
Well, I think
that makes me kind of dislike it. Oh, and wait, I'll just say one more thing. Sorry.
Sure.
Then there's the thing where, like, in the third season, in the first episode.
Okay, let's.
Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to. It's okay. Sorry,
if you want to torture yourself, watch the first episode.
Okay.
It's bad.
Okay. I can't do horror at all.
Okay,
so, yeah, and I'm sorry.
Okay, this might sound a little bit crazy, but I think that Big Mouth on Netflix has like amazing representation. Like it isn't like disgusting adult animation TV show.
But it is, it's animation.
But it is.
Yeah.
But it has amazing representation. Like every single thing that we just said that we don't never see in the media, like there are characters that are those things, and they have their own character arc, and it's not just about that, but they do tackle it. So like, it's nasty, but it has great representation.
And I think animation often leads the way. Sometimes animation has its issue. I mean, talk about Walt Disney all day, but like animation can lead the way. I think there's also an interesting conversation to be had about how animation distances people from actually thinking about real people. You know what I mean? And allows it to do that, right? And depending again on, is it from the do you know if it's made in the U.S. or is it made?
Yeah, it's made by Nick Kroll.
Okay.
Who is like an American actor.
Oh yeah. So is that a Nick Kroll show? Okay. Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Nice. All right. Yeah.
I loved League of Their Own. I'm pretty sure it got canceled.
Yes, it did.
Which is another queer woman show getting canceled.
Yep.
But it had, I don't know if I'll say representation, it just had really good education about like queer history and like lesbians in the 40s.
Yeah,
just,
and
like, traditional like butch and femme representation, I guess.
And actually, the next slide, which we won't take the time because we're already over time to look at, I did a presentation at the Queer Studies Conference on A League of Their Own, and it has. I think you're right. I think the thing about A League of Their Own is that it is this history, right? So A League of Their Own was a movie, right? Which just put the whole. I mean, come on, I know stereotypes are what they are, but a bunch of women playing softball, you're going to have some gay women, you're going to have some lesbians in there. I'm just saying you're going to. And they just totally got rid of it. Abby Jacobson, I agree. It's the history of it and looking at it and the representation in that and learning about it really struck a chord with me. And that show means a lot to me. And yes, it was canceled. Amazon was going to bring it back for just 4 episodes to sort of clean it up. But then after the strikes, they basically told her no. So Abby Jacobson's a good follow too on social media, the creator of A League of Their Own. Yeah.
Some really good representation that I've seen is Heartstopper.
Yes. Her mother says
my mom loves that. Loves that show.
It's got a POC trans main character. There's also an ace main character in it. They're kind of side characters, like not focused, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, I've heard it's good. It's on my list. It's on my list.
The problem that I see with it is the whiteness again that falls the like automatic. Yeah. The main characters in it are a white gay couple, so I mean it's that automatic
of that sort of dominant line. Yeah.
I felt very represented by Everything Everywhere
all at once. Yeah.
Yeah. That movie was Everything Everywhere All at Once. But what particularly about it?
Just having like a very like Asian dominated movie in the mainstream was really like incredible to see for me.
Yeah, really important. That learning circle I just got out of, so good in educating me. And if you go to the report and you look at it, it's still API LGBTQ is very underrepresented in television in particular. Yeah.
I think a really good one is it's Dumpling on Netflix, and it gives drag representation, which is something that I feel like we need.
Dumpling, the Jennifer Aniston movie?
They have,
I haven't seen it all yet.
Yeah, there's drag queens in there, and they're like a major part of the plot line, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, because I know I've seen some stuff that really sexualizes drag queens. This one doesn't, thank God. And I think it's a really good representation, especially now with the issues we're having with drag being like banned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I really love that movie.
Did you feel a little bit uplifted with the Kentucky, at least, the Kentucky governor that did not win the governorship, who actually ran on anti-LGBTQ stuff? That's a little bit, find little bit of things here and there, right? I mean, long way to go still, but anyway, yeah, good. So, you know, and getting back to sex education too, I agree with you. I think they were in a pretty good space, and then they added so much this last season that you lose all these people that would be really cool representation with deeper storylines. You lose it because it is so quick. Oh, there you go.
Oh, that
I
was
broke
me.
it earlier.
Did I break it? Sorry.
Anyway.
Sorry.
All
right, just keep.
I don't know.
Don't mind the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. That is, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Thoughts?
I think sex education, though, I feel like their goal for that season, like I really believe that someone in a room said, we want to absolutely represent every single person we can think of in this season, and rather than the developed storylines. I really swear that's why they created the school. That's why they did that. I think that, to me, I feel like every week they were trying to figure out who else can we represent that hasn't been represented. So I'm wondering if that's what happened, because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Sex Education is one of my favorite shows. I think it's amazing because for me, apart from like all the like queer representation, it's also just like normalizing sex and like all of the weirdness that can happen around it, and all of the like good things that can happen around it, which is so rare to like have to be like a normal real life kind of thing instead of like hypersexual or not sexual at all. So I really love it for that representation.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from that show. I'm like, really? Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's healthy in terms of people watching and going, oh wait, you know, and actually maybe going and you know, using television as a stepping stone to researching and learning about other things.
Well, because they haven't just normalized like straight sex, it's also been masturbation. There was like Amy and her horrible character arc that like was also beautiful, and like all of the different like the character has vaginismus, like all of these crazy things that like are so normal, but we literally never ever talk about.
Right. Because it's so stigmatized.
This show, I feel like no one ever talks about it. It's on Netflix and it's like so good. It's like sex education, but like way better representation-wise, in my opinion. Okay. It's called like Heartbreak High. It's like an Australian show.
That's really good. Really? Heartbreak High?
Yeah, the main character is like, she's an Indian woman, and then there's the two other main characters are a non-binary person of color, and they're in a relationship with someone who's asexual. And then the other one's like autistic lesbian who's actually also in a relationship. And it's also just very like casual representation where all these people are all these things.
Do you know if that character is actually, if the actor is actually autistic?
Yes.
Because that's a big issue, right, as well in terms of representation. Like atypical, fun show, but not because of the like it took them to season 3 to even add any ancillary characters that actually were actors, right, as well, you know, so. And that's one of the things I have about, and I've only watched like one, What We Do in the Shadows, but it won the GLAAD Media Award for its representation. So I don't know, has anybody watched it? I don't know it that well.
A movie that came out before, like there was a movie, and then they came out with the show.
They came out with the show, right, yeah, as well.
Netflix is winning the race, and you showed that, like they
they are. I mean, do y'all agree with sort of this?
Look at the difference
this
of characters.
Here? But they also have a lot more content, right? The thing is, when you're looking at numbers, you've got to look at, Netflix has so much more content than a lot of these other streaming services, right? Because they were the first, so they pulled all that stuff in and over and then started creating. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering how this works, because Paramount Plus has Drag Race, so I would assume it had a lot more, but is it just characters, or since it's real people?
Yeah, I don't think they're, you'd have to go look, I have to go look at the methodology again. I'm not sure they're using reality TV. I'm not positive.
It was interesting when I saw that, because I was expecting that to be number one.
Unless, I mean, how many people are on that?
Ooh,
Like
every
what?
single one, probably like, I don't know.
I think there might be.
More than 10, okay. Okay, they may be, we can double check the methodology that's in it, but it could be that they're not doing.
It's fictional characters.
It's just fictional
probably would
characters,
be my
yeah,
guess,
so. Interesting, yeah. I mean, that's it. I'm happy to answer more questions. There was one, this is a really good scene. This is just FYI, Birdie, this is Max, who's one of the main characters. Birdie is Max's uncle, but it is living as a man, and Max actually calls Birdie her uncle, but Max's mother calls Birdie her sister and calls her by her real name, but she's trying to live, she's living as a man in the 1940s, and so it's that history kind of thing as well. It's a really interesting discussion about a suit. Sorry, I did not mean to start that. And the last thing I'll just say, did anybody see this? Did anybody see this? This was like last year. I won't let you sit through, you can look it up if you want, but this is a Hallmark, right? The Hallmark Channel. I think this is, tell me one of the wedding ads. What is it, like, not Zillow, that's home.
You mean like eHarmony or
Match.com? No, it's like a wedding, like Zolo or something. I don't know, it's a wedding site or something, right? And the commercial was two women, right? Two women, marriage, and all of a sudden, a few people, we know, the loudest people, the squeakiest, and Hallmark pulled it. Well, enough people went back to Hallmark and said, how dare you let these people, right? Let these people force this, decision, and Hallmark, to their credit, reversed their decision and put it back on. But these are, again, this was just last year, right? These are, again, the kind of things we're going to keep dealing with. The more of these certain roads that we go down. And I think one last thing that I wanted to remind you of, and that is books or media. Right? So this is something that my 104 students have seen, and these are straight out of my 104 class that we look at. But every year the American Library Association puts out banned books, right? Puts out a list, they have banned book week. And I just want to remind you that books are our first media, right? And out of the 13 here, at least about 10 of them are because of LGBTQIA stuff, right? And this is a word cloud of why things are banned, right? So I don't want us to lose fact, although we're television and film and all that books are our first media. And they're some of our most powerful media, too. And they're being censored a lot because of, right, this information. So I just wanted to sort of leave you with that. Any other questions? So I do have an assignment on the last slide. You don't have to do it. But if you want to see a character that you don't see out there, write it. Ask the writer here, right? Write it. Write that character. What does it look, who's that person? What do they look like? What are their motivations? What are their wants? Who are they as people? Like, are they advocates that get out there and fight for what they want? Or are they people living their lives and part of their lives just happen to be who they are and how can they be? So write it. Just do it. It all starts somewhere. So, I don't know. Last questions? I've yapped a lot. I'm sorry. Seriously. Any last questions? Or for Jennifer about the career or anything? You want to take some acting classes?
That's right.
She starts back again in January. Yeah.
So I'm a theater minor.
Oh, nice.
Do you have any advice or anything?
Ooh, that's about anything specific?
Advice?
I can give all kinds of advice, but whether it's helpful, I don't know. Advice about
Just like acting, like after I graduate.
So advice on about the business or how to get in or how to do it. Well, let's see. Are you interested in theater? Or are you interested in Are you just interested in just working?
Acting in general. Most of the stuff that I've done have been like musicals.
Okay.
But yeah.
Where are you from? Do you live here? I mean, you're here in school, but like, do you have an idea of where you want to be after you graduate?
Well, after this semester, I'm transferring to UNCW.
Okay.
For the theater program.
Okay, great. So, so Wilmington would be a really good place to get involved in the film and TV stuff. Stephanie would probably be a good person to. Cause the thing you want to do is you want to get. So let's say you wanted to do film and TV. You can you can try and see if they're having auditions for some of the. Do they do general auditions?
Well, they don't really do auditions, but one of the things you could do if you wanted to get into television and film was to go and be like a background actor.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes that can be like cattle calls. I mean, that can be like, but there's a place called Fincannon and Associates, Fincannon, Fincannon and Associates. And they do a lot of background acting, and they do background actors. I try and use that word instead of extras because they're not extra. This scene right here would not work if you only had the people that are talking and not the other people, right? They are background actors. They are very important to scenes. Fincannon and Associates is a great place to start down there. And they do a lot of the casting of the background artist, and then they do speaking roles as well. So that's a great place to start getting headshots and getting them if you're interested in that realm.
And then for theater, if you're interested in, because I made my living in TV and film, but to me, if I could have made a living, it's very hard to make a living in the theater. So I would do theater for myself, and I did TV and film so I could eat. And if there are theater groups or theater companies in the Wilmington area, if they have, a lot of them will do general auditions. You can try to audition, try to get to do some plays and stuff. A lot of it is just it's a lot of hustling. You kind of have to be motivated, and you have to hustle and try to, just try to find a way to get people to see you audition, to try to get some work, and then hopefully that can get an agent and all that stuff. So I would say to start with, when you go down to Wilmington, look into the film and TV stuff, that's the opportunities there, and then see if you can find any theater stuff going on there.
And have a thick skin.
Yes.
It's a lot more rejection than acceptance. I couldn't do it. I don't know how she does it. I couldn't do it. I can't handle that rejection. I'm not good at it. But you may never get a part. You'll never know why you didn't get the part.
Yeah.
They just don't tell you. They don't give you feedback or anything. Thick skin.
You have to really believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You have to believe that you have to believe in yourself, and you have to really have a passion for it. It drives you, because it's kind of survival of the fittest out there, so. But then good luck. I think that's great. That's exciting. I think that's great.
And I'd just like to say, if anybody has any other, I'm in Carpin 304. You're welcome to come by anytime and chat or whatever. Email me or whatever, anytime. And I really appreciate Ellen asking us to come in. So good luck, y'all.
It's the only time I get to see you.
I know.
Thanks, y'all. Thank you. Thanks.